Who is totally freaking out about back to school? Parents, caregivers, friends, teachers, kids, I feel you. This is unprecedented times, and we feel like there's so many decisions to make, but very little choices. And we don't really like any of the choices. That makes us feel trapped, that makes us feel powerless. We got to do something about that, because trapped and powerless leads to anxiety, leads to depression, leads to us being angry, frustrated, and overwhelmed. There is no more room for that in our life. We have enough. We are up to here. And I'm Jody Amen, and this is my channel, Practical Miracles, where I give you practical steps to bring some miracles into your life. And right now we need like divine intervention miracles. But what I am going to talk about in this video is how to have emotional resilience during these back to school preparations, decisions, and all of it. So in this video, I'm going to give you 5 things that I want you to think about to help increase your whole family's emotional resilience for anything and everything related to back to school. The first one is to think about yourself as an empowered problem solver. So what that means, that this is the counter to anxiety. Like I said, when we feel out of control, we feel like we have a lot of limits on our life, it gets really frustrating, we get really worried, and we don't feel very good. And so if we think about ourselves as trapped and having less choices, we are going to always go that route. But if we think about ourselves as empowered problem solvers, which is exactly what we are. Humans are highly adaptable. We're very creative. We know how to problem solve and adapt to life. And you could see that many people are doing that. And the people that are doing that are feeling a robustness and mental resilience and emotional resilience. They're doing okay. And the people who are seeing all their limits and all the lack of choices that they're having right now, they're feeling very, very overwhelmed. Now, as parents and teachers, we need to model for our kids emotional resilience. I want you to be okay with whatever decision you make. Like, find peace with your decision. Now, as parents, you have a right to make any decision that you want. And sometimes it doesn't feel like we have choices because we don't like some of the choices. So we focus on our limits, we focus on what we can't do, and then we feel out of control. If we were to focus on what our choices were within the limits that we have, then we become empowered problem solvers. And when you think of yourself as an empowered problem solver, then it opens you up to creativity to see even more choices that you won't see if you're trapped and stuck and kind of blinded by anxiety. You have to look at the options for you and what works best for your family, and then look for the options within the options so that you know and you feel that sovereign power of being able to take action that's right for you and your family. And if you model being an empowered problem solver, what is that going to do for the kids? The kids are going to take that on and learn how to be empowered problem solvers themselves. So that leads us to number 2. And number 2 is to prepare them. Because, you know, most kids that I hear parents saying, most kids want to go back to school. And yes, because they've been pretty sheltered from a lot of the things going on, and they just want to get back to normalcy. Right? They're bored. They want to get back to doing something. They want to get back to seeing their friends, because we need engagement. Like, our minds want to do something. We don't like to be bored. It is actually really upsetting and crushing and depressing to be bored. It's anxiety producing. So yes, kids want to go back to school. I think kids want to get back to normalcy. And school this year is going to be anything but. In a lot of districts already, I've been hearing from my clients around the country that people are making some decisions, and there's a variety of them. And sometimes parents have choice and sometimes they don't. But everybody has a right to homeschool, so that is always an option. But you want to prepare them for what they're going to witness. And some of it you might have to guess a lot of, but you really want to paint a picture what school's going to be like and the differences of what it's going to be like to have a mask on all day and what it's going to be like to socially distance and not be able to share things in school. You want to kind of prepare them because it could be really shocking to them if they go to school and they're like, everything is so strange and so different. It could be pretty shocking. So you want to give them that kinesthetic awareness, have them close their eyes and picture what it might be like so they're not so shocked. And that will really give them some robustness in their courage and their ability to go back. It also teaches them to be empowered problem solvers. You're teaching them if you prepare, then you could see your flexibility and your ability and your skills within the limits. So number 3 is working with your kids on setting limits. Because first of all, you can't control what all the other kids do. And from some of my observations with some outside gatherings, I noticed that there's some people who are less aware of getting in each other's space than other people are. And so you want to role play with your kids what to do with people that get in their space. The other thing about setting limits is there might be an increase in bullying. There's always bullying in schools because people feel out of control. They're having hard times. There's a lot of different reasons for that. And they try to get control over other people. Now people are feeling an increase of being out of control. And so it is possible, we don't know yet because kids haven't gone back yet, it's quite possible that bullying will increase. It might not with the distance and less days, but it might. So you want to prepare your kids on what's the bullying protocol. If they get approached or attacked by a bully, what do they do? Do they go near an adult? Do they tell an adult? Do they tell you? What is the bullying protocol that you want your kids to follow to keep them safe at school? So this all means that your kids have to know that there is a threat out there. You know, a lot of times as parents, we want to keep our kids a little bit in the dark and not so traumatized by all the scary things that are going on. We don't want them to see that all. So if we showed them all the threat and saw that we were feeling out of control and there was nothing to do about it and we're just like passive recipients of everything that happens to us, of course they'd be overwhelmed too. Their anxiety will go up. None of us want that for our kids, but they have to know a little bit about that there's a threat out there, but that they're empowered problem solvers within that there's tons of stuff that they could do to make them not vulnerable to what's going on. And so you want to problem solve some of those abilities, some of those ways that they are empowered and some actions that they can take to protect their space and protect their personhood. Number 4 is getting them used to wearing a mask. Because going from maybe wearing a mask for 10 minutes when you're going in and out of a store to wearing a mask for a few hours is a huge jump. And kids could get used to stuff. Remember, we're highly adaptable. Our brains evolved for 2 million years as hunter and gatherers solving problems all day long. And so our brains wants to solve problems, and that's the kind of identity and story you want to instill on your child, that they are problem solvers. They are skilled problem solvers. And so when you're talking about wearing a mask, you want to understand that kids are highly adaptive. And so if they have to learn how to wear a mask for a long period of time, they are able to do that. Anytime we're limited somewhere, we compensate with other areas. So a lot of people are talking about if our face is covered, kids are going to miss facial cues. Well, the more they practice wearing masks, with you included, in the house, the more they're going to use their eyes and their hands to express themselves. Because yes, we're missing a lot of expression in the bottom half of our face. So what are we going to do to make up for that? We could really complain about what we're losing, or we could really engage with what else is possible. That makes us mentally and emotionally resilient. And we need that for back to school right now. We need to grow that right now. If kids are afraid or feel vulnerable, they're not going to be open to learning anything, right? If they don't have that emotional resilience, it stops there. They're not going to take in the math and the spelling and the English. They're not going to take in the subjects in school. They're too busy regulating their nervous system. Have confidence in them as adaptive beings, and then they're going to have confidence in themselves as adaptive beings. And they are going to adapt. They're going to speak with their hands more. They're going to speak with their eyes more. And that's going to make all the difference in how they are connected with other people. Kids need connection. That's why we're so insistent on sending them back to school, so they do have something, some kind of connection. And so we need to teach them all these new ways. Number 5 is get them in the habits for good hygiene. Now, we tend to touch our face all the time, and that's really apparent in our children and in our teenagers. We bite, we touch our eye, we touch our nose constantly. And from what I observed, this is not totally online right now. If I'm in a socially distanced outside place with a gathering, everybody is touching their face still. We haven't yet learned to stop touching our face in those kind of situations. So this is something you really want to build up. You have maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, depends on what state you are. You have a few weeks before school starts. Set a timer, play a board game, and challenge your kids to not touch your face during that 10 minutes. Make it a challenge in your day to stop touching their face, because the kids have been in the house most of the time or outside, and so they haven't had to learn these things. Now, too bad, right? Too bad we should have taught them this whole time to stop touching their face, but that's okay, it's not too late. Kids are highly adaptable. We could teach them those skills now. All right, I hope that helps. I'm sure I didn't cover every single little thing about education and safety and emotional resilience, but you got the nuts and bolts. Instead of making our kids think that they're passive recipients of everything that's happening, which is going to lead them to feeling angry and frustrated and blaming themselves and controlling others and controlling themselves, we want to teach our kids to be empowered problem solvers, to see their creativity and to see the choices within their limits. Because again, when they see the choice, they're going to see more choices. They're going to feel good about themselves. They're going to feel confident, and they're going to make choices that is best for themselves and best for everybody around them. So I hope you like this video. If you like it, please like it and share it with all your friends. And then come on over to my website, jodyammon.com, where I have so many resources for parents and teens and people who are wanting to open their heart and release fear and really figure out how to get through this time with emotional resilience and coming out of it even better than before. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next video coming out. And until then, be present and let that you want to be shine through.